I think people sometimes forget like boundaries are a way to really show love. It means I want you here.
At the end of the day, we're supposed to be sisters. We're supposed to be able to come on this couch and have a conversation.
A lot of the older generations did not talk about this.
You can't heal. You can't break generational curses by yourself.
Welcome back to Black Women Link Up, where we bring the real back to Black sisterhood. So our first segment is going to be a fit check, where we will talk about our outfits. The theme is gray, so as you can see, I have on a gray sweater that is from Fashion Nova, I think. It's actually it's supposed to be a two-piece set, but I wore jeans instead. My jeans are from Akira, and I have one of these turquoise socks that Bree gave to me. Storm.
I didn't give them to. Sorry, I didn't give them. She took them, but we do that with each other.
I kept it real simple. Gray sweater. Ohio girls do it better. Black leggings. Amazon, I believe. And then black socks.
Yeah, they're fire. Well, I have on a denim jacket from Amazon. I have on a gray crop top, and these are not like a actual outfit, but they're both from H&M. But yeah, my little comfy yoga pant type material and a black footy as well.
I have on a dress from Target. Literally got it like a month ago. My earrings are from Amazon because I only wear clip-on earrings. Yeah, I don't have nothing on my feet.
The dress is fire.
Feet from God.
For our next segment, we're going to do a sound check where we basically give a song of the week or of the day based off how we're feeling, setting the mood, you know. So this was kind of hard for me because I think last time I did I do Too Slippery by
Yes,
Bossman
you
D-Lo?
did.
Because
Yes.
I said I don't want a puppy, I want a big dog. That is my like option A still because I still feel that way. But for the sake of like, you know, women empowerment, it's going to be Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys.
Oh, so
On
precious.
my mama. That's been on repeat for me. So that's always a go-to.
Who was that by? Victoria? Yeah. Okay, mine would be from Lucky Day's most recent album, Mary. I just love that song so much. It's like our like the 2024 version of D'Angelo's Brown Sugar, like talking about, you know, a woman, but he's really talking about something else. Like, yeah, personifying being high. Yeah. But it's a good song. Like I really just like the song. So yeah.
My song would definitely have to be from Drake's new album, Give Me a Hug, because I'm obsessed with Drake and I love him so much. And that album just
It's crazy because I'm
out.
Drake's #1 hater.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I
Like
love
pre
Drake.
Kendrick too. Like pre Kendrick.
Really?
Yeah.
Why you just
You
don't
wanna
like
say
his
why?
style?
I think Drake is a character. And Aubrey Graham is a cornball. And I'm gonna die on that hill. Like I remember Jimmy with the fucked up hairline.
Yes. Oh my god.
Like so.
I just
Yeah.
really like his music.
No, like he definitely has his lane. I definitely will give him that.
Yeah.
I die on it. Aubrey is a cornball, and I'm gonna die on that hill.
Yikes.
So would you say you're a Kendrick fan though?
Oh yeah, but I was also a Kendrick fan prior
Okay,
to that.
okay.
Like Kendrick's been in my top 5. I've done podcasts. I've gone on the record.
Yeah.
Like so, it's like I'm not like because
Not
I
jumping
hate
on
Drake.
that, yeah.
I fuck with Kendrick. It's like no, it just so happened to work out for me.
Yeah.
It just so happened to work out.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm offended that Kendrick said he's his #1 hater. No. I need
It's you.
It's me.
She hate the way that he walked, the way that he talked, the way that he dressed.
Look.
Goodness. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I just went to his concert when he came here last year, and that's the second ever concert I've ever been to, like ever. And I just felt like I had like a great experience. But nobody compares to Beyonce in concert. Her
Yeah.
concerts are really good. But I would say he's after that.
I love Drake. I'm sorry.
And that's your business. And that's your business.
Bad.
I always tell people like I'm really good at like standing by myself on shit. Like I like everybody else could love it. And that's your business.
Yeah.
Like y'all entitled to y'all wrong opinion. Like
Yeah.
who am I to be mad at that?
Yeah.
But no. So it's like I just always like it's just always funny to me when I hear people say that because it's like I've just always been like something about him just don't sit well with me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just light skin on light skin violence. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm weak. So we did kind of get into like conversation already, but I do want to formally introduce you. So we have a guest, Storm. So you want to go ahead and give like a little intro?
Little intro, yeah. So I am Storm Estes. I am the founder of Survivors Not Victims. We are an advocacy program that supports Black women and women of color who survive domestic and sexual violence. I've been working as an advocate for about 12 years now, actually. Yeah, so like that's what Storm does, who Storm is.
Are you from Columbus, Ohio?
Oh, yes, I am from Columbus.
Yeah, give us Storm outside of what you do. Like, who are you?
Shit, a bitch be busy, so. No, I am from Columbus. I lived in Michigan for a few years during high school and then came back here for college. Been here ever since. I will say, like, I love my city. I also love other places.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my family is in New York. So I spent a lot of my 20s there as well. Like, so that was.
Represent. Yeah.
I think that was actually, it was funny. I was trying to find my New York hat, but I was like, dang, I think I might have left it at the bar crawl. I was like, I was going to do the balance of the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, you know, the thing I love about Columbus is that it's somewhere like you can both have fun and settle down. Like there's a balance of it. So I think that was one of the things that made it easy to decide like, oh, I'm going to start this here. Because I knew that like no matter what, like I could stay, like starting this here is like, okay, like I had to be ready to really stay here for a specific amount of time. And I was like, I can be content with that decision here. So, and I'm familiar with it. And I hate the weather, but outside of that, it's cool.
Yeah, don't we all?
It was just like it was almost 80 degrees on Friday.
Gotta love global warming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to drop right back down this week to like upper 40s, but then get warm again. So we wonder why people are getting the flu and all those other things. That's why I wasn't on the last episode because I was down bad. And I still never like fully recovered from that, I don't think. So this weather is not it at all.
Yeah.
You're going to have all seasons in 1 week. Good old Ohio, I love to say, hold my beer. Let me show you real quick.
For real.
Okay. So it is it women's?
It's Women's like History Month.
But it's not like international.
No, it's a day for that. I believe
International
the 8th
Women's Day was March 8th.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So
it is Women's History Month.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. It's Women's History Month. So our topic, we did a women's empowerment episode before with Chanel. Shout out Chanel. But we wanted to shed light on specifically women's health and, you know, breaking generational curses and really bringing light to issues that women go through that nobody really like discusses. I feel like a lot of the time when it comes to Women's Month, everything's about like empowerment and sisterhood. And yes, that's great, but there's also issues that need to be talked about. So, yeah. And it's perfect having you on here too. It's like, hello, gotta bring my girl on. Okay, so what are some ways that you would say you are breaking generational curses?
When I think about not just within even my own family, but like the women I know, specifically like the Black women and women of color that I know, and I think about how domestic and sexual violence is such a huge generational curse for so many people. Like, you know, it like you'll be a grandmother was abused, and then the mother was abused, and then her daughter, and then it carries down and carries down. And it's not just the abuse itself. I think that sometimes people forget that while that trauma in itself is horrible, how people respond to finding out and supporting the survivor is also really important and can add additional trauma. Like not believing your child when they tell you, hey, I've been abused. This happened. or allowing them to stay in a situation where they are unsafe plays a role later down the line. So it's like at some point, the abuse itself doesn't become the main focus. It's the I wasn't protected. I was told my safety, my well being didn't matter, right? And that carries. And like we don't think about. I think that when people think of things like domestic and sexual violence, they think of these like really drastic, like, oh, you got to get your head knocked off your shoulders. You got to, it has to be something brutal. And it's like, that's not, yes, it is that. But it's also this really wide spectrum of things. And, so creating a space like Survivors Not Victims, spaces like Zora's House, even, where they're designated for us to be able, you can't heal. You can't break generational curses by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't heal. You can't thrive without community. And the reality is, women and men need each other. I don't ever want to make it seem like we don't need each other, but women need women. And I think that when I think of breaking generational curses, I think of really grabbing these things at the root, because if you don't get a weed by the root, it comes back.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, to actually break something, you have to step out, you have to do something different. And so for me personally, that was creating Survivors Not Victims, and to give women of all different ages, this opportunity to see like you're not alone in this, right? Like, and give that community and build that sisterhood.
Why do you think that, like, if a if someone has been through like that traumatic experience and they tell their parents or whoever they think that they can trust, that they've been through a situation like that, and then the person is kind of like doesn't believe them, like, why do you think that's a thing?
Okay, so on one hand, right, we have to remember, in particular, so like let's talk about like on a parent level, right? So this happened in your household. Mom and dad aren't just mom and dad. Mom and dad are Bob and Sally, right? Like they are their own people who have their own issues and their own things that our parents didn't have the resources that we have. They didn't have these spaces to really start to say like, hey, like therapy is a good thing. It's especially in a Black household. It's like, they're raised with the mentality that's a white thing. That's for crazy people. That like, and God forbid you're like a part of the church, and then it's even an additional layer to that, right? So I do believe in extending grace, and understanding like it's hard to. It is not easy to break generational curses.
Right.
If nobody believed them,
Yeah, true.
it's not even that I think that they want to do it. I think it's what they think is normal. Nobody believed me. This is how this was handled. Like, when, and it's scary to like, to do it. And also there's, on the other hand, sometimes people are just selfish, and there's people who will be like, it's beneficial to, I've seen a lot of, it's beneficial to the collective. So the individual doesn't matter. So I think that when it comes to, parents and guardians and families not believing somebody, oftentimes it's because it benefits everybody else to keep the peace. And especially when you think of years past and like decades past of like, women didn't get the right to have their own credit card until the 70s.
Yeah, that's
Like, so realistically, what were our grandmothers supposed to do if they're being abused, or like, it's real easy to say what you would do in a situation you haven't been in.
Yeah, it's true.
And I know for a fact, personally, God has humbled me enough to, anytime I done said that, he'd be like, oh, okay, let's see what you'll do then.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I didn't do what I said I would have done. So I definitely believe that I would handle those situations different than maybe some of the people who should have protected me even. But I also give grace because I know that they didn't have anybody protecting them. They didn't have those tools, and like the knowledge that I have, they didn't have. Like, people laid the groundwork for this to happen, and for movements like Me Too to become a thing. Like, Me Too didn't just come from nowhere. It started from people starting organizations to support survivors. So if we know that these previous generations didn't have that, at some point we have to also acknowledge, like, it doesn't make it right, but two things can exist at once. Most people don't want to cause harm, but most people don't know how to help.
And then I could also think, like, if you have like very overprotective parents too, they don't want to go to jail, then you have no parents. You know what I mean? Like, if they're, I could see that. Like, if I know if I had a child and they were coming to me, and I would want to take you out because you touched my child or
Yeah.
did whatever to my child. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's hard to know what the right decision in those
Yeah.
situations are, especially when what might seem like morally right, because we see all the time, like now, where situations like the one daycare owner who she shot her husband was like, oh yeah, I heard you was touching the kids, you ain't gonna touch nobody no more, right?
Yeah.
And morally so many of us supported her, but legally that is
Yeah.
not how you do it, right? So I do think that there's things like that as well, that play a role in making it difficult to know how to navigate those situations.
Yeah. Very true.
I think what you said about keeping the peace spoke to me the most because and this is not really related to, it's like family wise, but my grandmother is from Haiti and she came to America. Oh my God, I don't even know when, but hearing my mom like tell stories about what their dynamic was like my grandma was very much traditional. Like you don't really talk about certain stuff, you don't really shed light on certain stuff. And when it comes to like the family issues that we have, it's like my grandmother doesn't want to talk about it. Like she doesn't want to, acknowledge where she went wrong. She doesn't want to acknowledge or like bring us together, say like, hey, y'all are sisters, y'all should not be fighting. Hey, this is your cousin. At the end of the day, y'all need to have a connection. So it's little stuff like that that seems so small, but like to this day, there's issues that are repeating back to every single generation in my family. It's like always something because again, that root of like not establishing a healthy form of communication amongst the family.
And even like to even go off of that, like I think that goes into like where like it's like, okay, this is an opportunity to break generational curses. If for nothing else, it's like, you know what, I'm establishing boundaries in my life. So that means like, yeah, I would love to have a healthy relationship with my cousin. However, if my cousin is not healthy,
Right.
then my boundary stays in place, right? Because I think people sometimes forget like boundaries are a way to really show love. It means I want you here. And in order for you to be here and for us to both be healthy and for this to be fulfilling for both parties, because people, as much as it makes people uncomfortable to realize, relationships are transactional. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. You should absolutely never be doing business, having a personal, a friendship, a romantic relationship, family relationships with people that you aren't also receiving something from. And it doesn't have to be the same thing you're giving. And it's not about it being financially a transaction. It's that if I'm giving, I expect to receive. You don't go to a store and give them money and not get shit, right? Like you walk out there with something. Like what Denzel say? I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that we forget that like with boundaries aren't these things to put up walls or prevent relationships. They're there to break these unhealthy habits so that we can actually moving forward in the next generations to come avoid having these issues, right? Like we already experienced these things have already happened. We either have chosen to forgive and move forward, maybe not forgive at all, or forgive and not maintain a relationship, right? All these things are choices we're allowed to make.
Yep.
But now that whatever decisions have been made, we've decided that the boundaries are in place and the next generation is being set up for success. And I think that's there's always going to be issues. You're never going to get everything right, and you're definitely never going to get everything right the first time. But the goal is to set everybody else up for success. Like it's the whole idea of like, why would I want my family to struggle just because I did, right? Like that's the issue. I think a lot of the older generations have is that they're okay. We see it in office workplace a lot of times with older Black women, with younger Black women. Of like, well, I had to do that. I had to deal with this. So like you should not just you'll be okay, but it's like almost like you should too. Like this is the expectation.
It's like a rite of passage.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm cool. I didn't join a sorority for a reason. Like, I'm cool. Like, I don't need to be bullied to feel like I deserve something. And I think that we have to be intentional once we are aware of like, okay, like this is an issue and you get a choice. You always have a choice. What are you going to do with that? You can either continue to do things the way that they've been done, or you can try something different. And it doesn't mean you get it right, but you're also allowed to change your mind and be like, okay, this didn't work either. Let's try this.
I think our generation, like you said before, specifically, like has made, like, especially like with podcasts and like talking about different things that would make the older generation uncomfortable. Like, I think we're doing such a great job for that, and I really like give credit to our generation for doing that, because like you said, a lot of the older generations did not talk about this, didn't go to therapy. Like, my mom is in her 50s and she just started going to therapy, like, and I my first time being in therapy was last year in my 20s, and she wants me to be better than how she was, because her mom wasn't telling her to go to therapy. So yeah, I definitely get that.
I mean, and I think that the beautiful thing about what our generation is doing is that we're also giving these opportunities to the previous generations. Like, this year with Survivors Not Victims, we're actually like we're getting some older women coming, like 45 and up. Like, there was one woman who came to a couple of sessions who was in her 60s.
Wow.
You know, and when I stop and I think about what she didn't have, like when I stop and I think about the support that wasn't there, that I had these resources. When I ran away at 14 because of what I was going through. And, you know, I knew I didn't want to be a statistic, and there was resources for me to figure out how to not be one. Right? They didn't have this. You know, they didn't have the opportunity to, therapy wasn't an option for them. You know, speaking up wasn't an option a lot of the time. And a lot of, also in communities of color, the women in these communities are taught to protect their abusers, right? So I think when I see what we're doing as a generation and how it's benefiting, you know, older generations, and how it's going to benefit newer generations, I think it's, you know, it's as for all the issues that there are, right? Because you can't have good without bad.
Right.
I think that we sometimes neglect how far we have come and how hard we are working.
Yeah.
That was good. And that was, we've only been talking like 10, 15 minutes, but that's good. I think, Breeze, to kind of piggyback and kind of segue into the next topic, which is comparisons on social media. I think a lot of the time, I don't know, it's like in my opinion, there's still definitely opportunity. I feel like a lot of the time when, like, you know, there are conversations being had on podcasts, what have you, a lot of it just seems like surface level. So I appreciate like you coming and, you know, shedding light on these topics, and even us, like when we say bringing the real back to Black sisterhood, it's like serious. And we sat down and had a conversation to say, like, we need to be more transparent. Like, we can't continue to walk in this journey of like having a podcast and being surface level. And it's like, no, like at the end of the day, we're supposed to be sisters. We're supposed to be able to come on this couch and have a conversation as if we're just talking as sisters, and it's just filmed.
Well, and I think that's the beautiful thing about sisterhood, right? When I think of my chosen sisters, right, one of the things I love the most about us, my best friend and I, we can be on the phone for 5 hours, like literally like 5 hours, and we done talked about aliens, we done talked about gossip, like celebrity gossip. We actually one time got into an argument because she was offended that I said that they said King Von was technically a serial killer, as if the title serial killer was an honor. Like we really had a whole debate about this. Like, but like, you know, like we go from topic to topic, and it's like some of it is surface level, and it's just very tedious, or just like being funny or whatever. And then there's like really deep conversation, and so these two things don't have to be separate. Again, two things can exist at once. It's just, I think, so a lot of things are taboo for people, and they don't know how to navigate what is uncomfortable, and they would rather sit in the safety of what is comfortable instead of being like, hey, like, we're gonna talk about some hard topics, and it might be a little uncomfortable, but I'm a firm believer, like, if your well-being is not in it's not in harm's way, you'll be fine. We can talk about this, you'll be good. Like, it might be uncomfortable for a little bit, but then you move through it, and maybe we never have to have that conversation again. But you can't expect to grow and not be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And you never know who you're helping too. Like, you never know who, like, my thing is, if I help one person, whether it's through content, whether it's through this podcast, that's all that matters. Just making that one person different.
You help millions of people when you're being your transparent self. Like, and you don't, and like you said, you don't even realize it. Like, I think God gives certain people like gifts of being able to just be comfortable in all sides of them. Like since a very young age, like I've been able to navigate. Like, yeah, I was abused growing up. I have severe childhood trauma. Like I was sexually abused, and I talk about it like I'm talking about the weather. Like there is no like discomfort for me, especially when I talk about the facts of it because it happened. Right? I'm owning that this wasn't a me issue. This happened. The same way we could talk about history and we can talk about like those things happen. So why shouldn't I be able to talk about this? And the amount of people, men and women alike, that I've had come to me and be like, this happened to me and I've never told anybody. You know, I mean, it's a lot of why Survivors Not Victims got started because I realized like, oh, we're not alone in this. Like this, more people. The reality is the world is so big and there's so many people that the chances of you being the only person going through anything is slim to none. But in particular, there's a lot of things that if you don't realize that you have community in that and you don't realize that there's other people, it can cause you to isolate because it feels like nobody will understand. So I think that like it's a beautiful thing to be like, hey, like we gonna have laughs and we gonna giggle and all that and that's great. But we're also gonna have like tough conversations and we're also gonna show that that can be something that's not only like beneficial, but like you can laugh through that too, right? Like we don't. First of all, I think I'm hilarious, so I'm always like, I'll be, any conversation, serious or not, we gonna have it. We gonna laugh at least a couple times. That's just you know. So I think it's great that you guys are trying to like be really intentional with that, and it does make you stand out because it's like so many podcasts. First of all, a lot of people shouldn't be allowed to have a podcast. Quite frankly, I'm down that hill. Like I need them to stop giving mics to everybody. It should be like you have to go through like a course or something. It's like how you have to like
Your
get a
podcast
license
degree.
to carry or something like. Because the way people get on here and start saying they wrong opinions like they facts, I'm like,
And a lot of the times when people talk on podcasts, they're like projecting or like they'll give an opinion and it's based off of a situation and they're trying to just like vent and get it out. And it's like, you sound crazy.
like this is not, go get a therapist.
Right.
Go get a therapist. Like I'm not doing this with you.
Okay, so Survivors Not Victims, is just for women?
Our sessions are for Black women and women of color. Now that would also be open to trans women as well. But anything that we do within the community to educate about consent, that is for all people as long as the space is age appropriate. Like we've done a panel about consent at Higher, which was really dope. We actually also we're working on developing a youth program because our sessions are 18 and up unless you come with a parent. And we created a book, a healing workbook, because we wanted, it's like Brat's theme, but it's us. And it's like older women, different body types, women with hijabs on. Like we wanted to be, you know, like growing up, we didn't see ourselves in things. And I wanted to give something that could be both useful and also enjoyable and us see ourselves in it. So like that was really awesome. And we realized like, oh, like, this is still appropriate for a younger age group. So we're working on developing some youth programming. We're about to start planning our fundraiser. So we're excited about that.
Have you ever thought about doing like men's healing sessions?
So Survivors Not Victims works. Our sessions work because we all have a not only shared trauma, but a shared life experience of knowing what it's like to be told there's something in our DNA that makes us stronger and better equipped. And like I come in there and I tell them, yeah, we've been lied to. This is not true. You're not more equipped to deal with trauma. You've been conditioned to think you are. And that plays a large role in why these sessions work so well. I am not a man. I would love to be able to help build that, and maybe it becomes like something, rather somebody wants to lead that within Survivors Not Victims, and it's its own separate thing, or if it is like I just help somebody build their own. I would love to do that because the reality, and it goes. People make so many jokes about it, but like the amount of times I've heard men say like, "Oh, I lost my virginity when I was 7," and like, it's like that's rape.
crazy.
That's rape. Let me be very clear. Rather you found it enjoyable or not. Like, first of all, let's be very clear. Age of consent is a real thing. So a yes from a minor does not mean yes.
Yeah.
Right. And the reality is no older person has business being involved with a child, so inherently it is morally and legally wrong. And then the reality is men assault men, women assault men, boys, so men are not given the space to really have those conversations. And even like I've talked to men who have been like, hey, like I brought it to my friends, like, hey, this happened, and they laughed at me. So I think that's because they haven't been taught like how to really support each other. And so I would love to see something for men. Rather I directly have a role in helping create that or not, I don't know. But I'm more than open to being a part of that creation. I know I'm not the person to run it.
Yeah.
Right.
What would you say like your demographic is like, if you can share that? I don't know if you can share that or not, but like, is it Black women?
Oh, it's Black women and women of
Okay.
color.
Okay.
So we've seen. I mean, I will say largely Black women, and I love
Okay.
that. I love
Okay.
that we host our sessions at Zora's house. So it's a space that's meant for Black women and
Okay.
women of color. So it's really great to give them this beautiful space to really not just like they are inherently survivors. I'm a firm believer like a victim is somebody who didn't make it. So inherently living through something, you are a survivor. But I also believe that these women deserve to be thrivers and to thrive and to like really, grow into that and to be able to see, like I said, we've had women of color as well, but it is largely Black, and I love that.
Yeah.
And also we're unapologetically for Black women and women of color, and like I've gone on the record about it. And I've had to sometimes have hard conversations about like I have a recommendation for a group, but it's not this one.